Americans are already doing this after a fashion. That's how many folks belong to CSAs around the country. I've asked many thousands of people, many hundreds of CSA members, over the past few years, how many of you ever calculated quantitative metrics supporting your decision to join a CSA? I'm glad you're laughing. Food miles, price, nutrient density, pesticide levels, organic matter in the soil, anything like that. In the 4 years of asking that question, only one person raised their hand. This means that hundreds of thousands of Americans are using a sense of innate value to prepay for food from a local farmer. They are entering into an arrangement that is part investment decision, part consumption decision, part transaction, part relationship, part capitalism, part socialism, both deeply conservative and deeply liberal. This is why I like to think of slow money as the CSA of investing. We're a network, a bunch of distributed relationships rather than a centralized fund. We're a bunch of reasons and intentions and values rather than a single technique or strategy. We're as non-fiduciary as possible, as direct, as disintermediated as possible. We want to spend more, lots more, than 45 minutes on each financial acre. And we want to turn fiduciary responsibility into something very different. So I want to return to Wendell Berry as our guide. Some of you may recognize the following passage from his seminal work, The Unsettling of America. I'll never forget reading this passage. When I first became chairman of the Investor Circle, I read it, and the energy in the room was palpable. And I think the reason is that even though the word fiduciary does not appear in this passage, in it Wendell is looking into the heart of the investor. So here's the passage. I conceive a strip miner to be a model exploiter, and as a model nurturer, I take the old-fashioned idea or ideal of a farmer. The exploiter is a specialist and expert. The nurturer is not. The standard of the exploiter is efficiency. The standard of the nurturer is care. The exploiter's goal is money, profit. The nurturer's goal is health, his land's health, his own, his family's, his communities, his country's. Whereas the exploiter asks of a piece of land only how much and how quickly it can be made to produce, the nurturer asks a question that is much more complex and difficult. What is its carrying capacity? That is, how much can be taken from it without diminishing it? What can it produce dependably for an indefinite time? The exploiter typically serves an institution or organization. The nurturer serves land, household, community, place. The exploiter thinks in terms of numbers, quantities, hard facts. The nurturer in terms of character, condition, quality, kind. So with the deepest gratitude to Wendell, I hope I'm not offending you, Wendell, or Mary. Let's take a few steps forward from fiduciary to something not quite so serious, but just as important, fiduciary. A fiduciary, this is going to be hard for me to get through without stumbling. A fiduciary focuses on growing portfolios. A fiduciary focuses on growing food. A fiduciary minimizes risk and maximizes return. A fiduciary minimizes chemical additives and maximizes taste. A fiduciary seeks the straightest, shortest line between buying low and selling high. A fiduciary thinks seasonally, generationally, and embraces the cycles of life. A fiduciary thinks in terms of millions and billions of dollars. A fiduciary thinks in terms of household income and keeping the farm. A fiduciary believes in hockey sticks. From you, be that way. Everybody know what a hockey stick is? Financial projections that zoom upward with no end in sight. A fiduciary believes in pitchforks, triple timed and poised to enter the earth. A fiduciary knows the direction of his stocks. A fiduciary knows the whereabouts of her flocks. Thank you for chuckling. A fiduciary is an expert who strives to increase wealth. A fiduciary is an amateur who strives to improve health. There's nothing funny about a fiduciary, but being a fiduciary may not be all that funny either. At least it offers the potential for a little mirth and a warm heart. And this is why I love Slow Food and Carlo Petrini. Slow Food's commitment to culture and taste and the pleasures of the table warms the heart. And while it takes up nonviolent arms against many of the worst excesses of industrial agriculture, it also brings a smile to the face and something beautiful to the palate. This is the beauty of Slow Food, and Carlo, I hope it may also be the beauty of Slow Money. There is much that we are fighting against, GMOs, pesticides, endocrine disruptors, hunger, obese kids, ultra-fast trading, short-termism, soil erosion. We are fighting against food with empty calories and portfolios with empty profits. But there is more, much more that we are fighting for. Health, conviviality, diversity, entrepreneurship, stewardship, sense of place, living wages, Frog Hollow peaches, Coyote Creek eggs, Jackrabbit Hill wine, Four Seed and Farm carrots, Cure Farm mustard greens, the black willows that line the Kentucky River near Port Royal, the orchards on the mesas south of Grand Mesa, wild blueberries on Chappie, the rebuilt barn at Shepherd's Way, the oysters at Willapa Bay, wild rice in the streams of the Menominee, feral bees, the pigness of the pig, to use Joel Salatin's wonderful phrase, happy earthworms, mycorrhizae, symbiosis, leaf, soil, root, peace. There is so much more to fight for than to fight against, and there is so much more to invest in. Admittedly, the $25 million, that's what we're up to as of yesterday, that has been invested in 200 small food enterprises over the past 3 years by slow money folks around the country is only a beginning. There should be some applause at this point.